the mind is not the enemy. And you're right, the questioner's right. It's a very dangerous place to go. Because at the end of the day, who do I go to bed with? My own mind. Who do I wake up with? My own mind. Who do I shower with? My own mind. Who's on the toilet with me? My own mind. So, no matter how close you may be to a husband, a wife, a mother, a father, a child, a best friend, chances are they're not on the toilet with you. The mind is. Wherever you go, the mind is there. And so for us to make the mind the enemy actually sets us up to live in this state of misery and frustration. Because we are literally carrying around our enemy. It's like if you think about in this world, throughout your life, who has ever been your worst enemy? Not your mind, but an actual human being. Who has ever been, maybe in school days, maybe someone in the office, but who has ever been your worst enemy? Now imagine if that person were surgically connected to you, like they became your Siamese twin. And every time you turned over in the night, that person's face was right there. Imagine what life would be like. So when we make the mind the enemy, it literally is like being connected like a Siamese twin to your worst enemy. That's the stuff that great misery is made of. And so we absolutely should not think of the mind as the enemy. We need to understand that the mind is doing only what the mind has been programmed to do. The mind has taken in all of the experiences of this life. And if you believe in past lives and sanskaras, karma from the past, all of those impressions as well from past lives, even all of those impressions that we're not even consciously aware of. There are people whose minds are impacted today by their experience being born, their experience coming out of the womb. There's all kinds of therapy that actually works with people going back to the trauma of being born. So even things that we don't remember consciously have impacted our minds. There's beautiful scriptural stories of children being born who have listened to katha being recited while they were in utero. One of the teachings of our culture is when you're pregnant, you should always be sure listen to holy things, beautiful teachings, because absolutely the fetus gets it. So our mind is being actually impacted by things that we're not even consciously aware of. All of the experiences. And then it is doing its best to serve us. And this is a very important point. Your mind is created to serve you. All of the nonsense that our ego does, all of the games our ego plays with us, actually are there on the core, deepest level. Because the mind thinks that that is what we need. So for example, do you ever hear your mind saying, Don't even try that, you're too stupid to be able to do it. Don't even try that, you're worthless, you'll fail. Now, on the surface, we look at that and we say, that is an enemy. Otherwise, who would tell us that? But on the deepest level, our mind actually thinks that by telling us this, it is protecting us. That our mind actually thinks that we are worthless. Our mind thinks that we are stupid. And so it's telling us this to protect us from failure and humiliation and embarrassment. Our mind thinks, let me remind her of how incapable she is, how stupid she is, how worthless she is, so that she doesn't try something and make a fool of herself. Now you could think, well, where would my mind get that idea? Well, it got it because during our lives, people tell us that. They don't mean to harm us. Usually they just mean to discipline us. Parents, teachers. But in that disciplining, bad boy, bad girl, stupid, this, that, they withdraw love. Sometimes kids get spanked, they get hit, sent to their room with no dinner for bad report cards. We constantly get this messaging that we're not good enough, we're not good enough. And so our minds just start giving us back what's been fed into them, what's been programmed into them, mostly in the first 7, 10, 12 years of our childhood. And it tries, in this child's mind, it tries to make the most sense of what the situation is. And then it tries to protect us. So for example, if you find that you can't trust, that you're not good with relationships, that you keep sabotaging relationships or not able to trust, well, chances are that's because at some point in your life, you got hurt. And the mind thinks it's being your friend, it thinks it's being your ally by telling you, don't trust them. Bad person, stay away. By keeping you alone. By keeping you sheltered, by keeping you armored up and protected. It thinks it's helping you. But of course we know it's not. So recognize that the mind is not the enemy. It's just in most cases stuck in early childhood. It's doing the best that a young child can do in circumstances that it's given that may not be ideal for the best development. So instead of thinking of the mind as an enemy, understand that it's your friend, trying its best, but the mind has become like the friend who knows that you love chocolate cake, so keeps trying to give it to you, even without knowing that you've become diabetic. And so it keeps trying to give you this chocolate cake, and now the chocolate cake is killing you. And the mind keeps saying, eat, eat, you love it. But you're dying. And this is where the other really important part of the mind is there, which is, it can be changed. We're not stuck with it. It can be changed. Remember, it's there trying to help us. But it functions in patterns. It's seated in the very physical brain, which is chemical, it's electrical. Literally, we say in neurology, neurons that fire together, wire together. It means patterns that have happened in my life. I'm going to kind of keep creating these. I'm going to keep experiencing that. Whether we think of it as Pavlov's dogs, whether we think of it as fear of certain things, certain behavioral patterns, but it is changeable. And it's actually quite easy to change. Takes time. We didn't get this pattern overnight. The mind didn't develop in 24 hours. But it absolutely can be changed. Meditation changes your brain, not just your mind, your brain. Yoga, all of these powerful spiritual practices change our brain and our mind. So this is the power of the spiritual practice. Change what your mind is saying to you. If right now I tell you, okay, in your mind, I want you all to yell love, okay? In your mind, everybody yell love. Did you hear it? Huh? Anybody couldn't hear it in their mind? So see, you can do it. You actually have the control to tell your mind what to think, what to say. But we just don't utilize it. But the moment that you decide, I am going to consciously tell my mind what to say, you can do it. And so every time that you find that your mind is running away from you, just shout, love, in your mind. Or shout peace. Or shout clean slate, start over. Whatever it may be. But just grab that control and know that with enough time, with enough practice, you can change it.